American Patriots, welcome to the American Patriots channel. If you are a liberal, I'll bet that you were very unhappy with the previous administration, and yet excited about America's future when the Democrats took office. But now, you're not all that satisfied with them either. If you are a conservative, I'll bet that you thought that the previous administration accomplished several good things, but were disappointed when they fell short on their promises to provide universal health care, to build the wall, and to not give tax cuts to the rich. When the Democrats took office, I suspect that you became deeply concerned. Does this sound about right? Well then, allow me to explain further. The American people have been deceived. We have been led to believe that all we need to do is elect one political party or the other, and our problems will be solved. We go back and forth, electing the Republicans and then the Democrats, looking for the party with the answers to our nation's problems. It works something like this. While one party is in office, the other one points out the ruling party's failures. After a time, we tire of the ruling party, so we switch to the other party. Eventually, the other party falls short as well, so we switch back, and the game begins all over again. Round and round we go, blinded by the hope we place in each party, but failing to recognize that both parties are fundamentally flawed. The left has turned toward socialism, the equal sharing of wealth, which stifles economic growth and innovation. They favor equity, the giving of opportunity to those who are underqualified, which blunts achievement. They support ever-expanding entitlements, providing handouts that result in dependence on the government. All of these are taking us down the wrong road and have not ended well in other countries where they have played out. The left has inflamed us with racial, gender, economic, and other divisions as a means to expand their control, resulting in the disintegration of the very fiber of our nation. But the right is no better. They seek to serve the affluent and the well-positioned. They suppress the working class by limiting their ability to negotiate for pay and benefits, leaving them at the mercy of corporate America. They give the wealthy and big business fabulous fortunes through tax breaks, while throwing mere scraps to the masses. The right fights any form of gun control, which perpetuates the gruesome crimes that occur across our nation. They stick their heads in the sand when it comes to climate change, because it would cost their friends in big business too much. They fail to understand the basic principle that truly serving the people would turn their elite economic existence upside down. So what is the value of an election anyway? If you have seen elections come and go, you have likely come to the conclusion that the candidates will not keep their promises. You have ceased to believe in cures for our nation's most serious ills, such as inequality, poverty, crime, and homelessness. You know how things will go after an election. Lines will be drawn, divisions will arise, and the word compromise will never be spoken. Factions will jealously guard their positions and do their very best to gain power over the others. In the end, what little that has been accomplished will primarily benefit the elites, and the people will not be served. You will hope that things will turn out better next time. Don't hold your breath. But what is the alternative? The only options are to elect Democrats or Republicans. That's all there is. So ultimately, we cannot expect a better outcome, right? We must open our eyes and see the truth. John Adams, one of the founders of this nation and the second president of the United States, explained it clearly. He said, "There is nothing which I dread so much as a division of the republic into two great parties, each arranged under its leader and concerting measures in opposition to each other." Does this sound familiar to you? Have you seen this going on? Then he added, "This, in my humble apprehension, is to be dreaded as the greatest political evil under our Constitution." What does he mean by calling our two political parties evil? We know that it's only natural for the parties to often disagree on the issues. What is evil about that? We can turn to George Washington for an explanation. He said that the disagreements between the parties often turn into outright conflict, with each side eager to attack and retaliate against the other. He added that the contest between the two sides will escalate and turn into an all-out effort to dominate and take control. Have you seen any evidence today that George Washington is right? Are the parties engaged in all-out warfare to take control? Let's put his words to the ultimate test and see just how far each party is willing to go to gain power and dominance. Would they go so far as to take an action knowing that it will contribute to the deaths of American citizens just to gain votes? Take these 4 cases in point. First, it is no secret that the Democrats favor open borders in order to increase the Hispanic population and expand their voter base. Yet, there were over 75,000 deaths in America last year due to overdose from opioids, which are smuggled across the Mexican border into our country. Democrats resist improving border control, even though they know that their actions are contributing to the opioid epidemic and the deaths of many Americans. Second, Republicans work tirelessly to prevent almost any new gun control legislation from passing in order to gain the votes of gun owners. Yet there were over 44,000 deaths in America due to gun violence in 2021 alone. Republicans are fully aware that legislation is sorely needed to keep guns out of the wrong hands which would potentially save thousands of lives. Third, due to the actions of some bad police officers against minorities, Democrats have reduced police forces to pander to the minority vote. As a result, murder rates are now at an all-time high in many major cities across the United States. Sadly, it is the minorities that are often the victims. And finally, the division of our country has caused violence and death. 25 lives were lost due to the riots of 2020, and one was lost on January 6th. Who do you think is fanning the flames of unrest? It is the political parties, along with their media cohorts. They don't mind tearing our country apart and contributing to the loss of life as long as it furthers their cause. I regard these statements made by John Adams and George Washington, along with the actions of our present-day political parties, as the most convincing proof that our current political system is indeed evil, proof that the Democratic and Republican parties will stop at almost nothing to gain power. If we allow these parties to continue, their lust for power will drive them to find a way to dominate, and one day, one will likely win out. At that point, we will find ourselves living under an oppressive regime, one that has absolute authority over all of us. We will experience distress and misery, which will be passed down to our sons and daughters unless we put a stop to this travesty of our democracy. All along, we have looked to the two parties for the answers to our problems. But as it turns out, they are often not the solution. They are the cause. They are guilty of the egregious act of contributing to the deaths of many Americans, as well as countless other offenses against us. So do we need a third party then? One that is better than either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party? No, 1,000 times no. This would only be more of the same. So now we are faced with the political party question, which is, how do we resolve this? If you study the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, you will find no mention of political parties. The framers of these documents did not want them to exist in America. We need to free ourselves from the oppression and the treachery of the current political system. Our citizens will always have the freedom to join political organizations where like-minded people naturally gather. However, we must break the ties between politicians and political parties. We need a non-partisan system where every candidate for public office is not affiliated with a political party. This would restore our system to the way it was when our country was founded and the way it was meant to be. This is the American Patriots channel. It is far more than just a YouTube channel. It's the beginning of the Second American Revolution. we stand for peaceful and lawful reform of the government in order to restore America to the way it was intended to be by our founders. Join us in this fight to free ourselves from these toxic political parties and transform our government into a true servant of the people. Please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and share this video with others so that everyone will know the American Patriots are coming. Thanks for watching. God bless America.
Many months of sacrifice and self-discipline lie ahead, months in which both our patience and our will be tested, months in which many threats and denunciations will keep us aware of our dangers. But the greatest danger of all would be to do nothing. The path we have chosen for the present is full of hazards, as all paths are. But it is the one most consistent with our character and courage as a nation and our commitments around the world. The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender or submission.